Hey everyone, welcome back to Top 10 Nerd, the channel where we dive into lists of all things nerdy. Today we're returning to a list that we released a few days ago in celebration of the latest season of one of Netflix's Marvel hit TV shows, the top 10 Easter eggs you missed in Jessica Jones Season 2. Part 2. We addressed a lot of Easter eggs that went down in the first half of the season, and while on this list we do touch on a few from earlier episodes, we'll be primarily looking at a lot of ones that happened in the later half of the season. So heads up, there are spoilers ahead. You've been warned. And at number 10, noir inspiration. When Jessica and Trish first meet up in the second season, they're chilling on top of a rooftop, and it's got one hell of a view. Literally, there's a movie projector playing some classic Hollywood cinema. The movie buffs out there may have recognized what film was playing. The Killers, a 1946 story about organized crime. What's neat about this Easter egg is that the film initially had a working title called The Matadors, which has a connection to Jessica Jones and Marvel itself. Jessica is first introduced in season 1 on top of the Matador Hotel. The super astute fans out there may have noticed another slight connection. The plot of The Killers is very similar to the story of the father of Jessica's Defenders buddy, Matt Murdock. And at number 9, David Mack. Oscar is one of the new characters we're introduced to this season, who first meets Jessica upon moving into her building. She wows his son by lifting up their fridge with ease. One of the more interesting things about Oscar though is that he's quite the artist, and it's his art in particular that has fans of Jessica Jones comics buzzing. It looks eerily similar to the work of David Mack, a longtime cover artist for Jessica's comic Alias, and the illustrator of the main title sequence of the show, which scored him an Emmy nom. While it's yet to be confirmed as to whether or not the artwork was actually done by David Mack or it's just an homage to the artist, it does seem likely that it was done by him, considering his connection to the show. And at number 8, Heidi Wolfe. Those with a keen eye may have noticed another Patsy Walker reference in the form of a magazine during season 2. On the cover of a celeb mag known as Celeb Seeker, which is a parody of US Weekly, we can see Trish gracing the cover alongside Malcolm with the headline, "Patsy dumps Griff for Mystery Man." While most people probably only paid attention to the headline in the cover photo, if you look closely to the left of it and read some of the other featured stories, you'll notice that the top one reads, Heidi Wolfe clashes with Gal Pal. Heidi Wolfe is a character that originates from the Patsy Walker comics, who was constantly a frenemy for the character. While she did survive the move with Patsy to superhero comics, she never received powers herself. Instead, she became a civilian character who got the rights to the fictional Patsy Walker comics, and started republishing them. Up next, number 7, more for movie buffs. If The Killers wasn't enough for you classical Hollywood cinema fans out there, how about some Orson Welles? Later on in the season when Jessica returns to the rooftop, another black and white film is playing. This time, one of the most notable film noir classics, A Touch of Evil, directed by Orson Welles. Being a modern day film noir itself, classics like these heavily inspire much of the stylistic elements that we enjoy about shows like Jessica Jones. It's worth noting that the shot that appears in the scene is the famous long take that opens A Touch of Evil, an element that is consistently a part of the film noir and neo-noir genres, but also a common element of the Marvel Netflix shows. They do love their long takes. And at 6, familiar names. During the scene where Jessica visits Dr. Leslie Hansen's apartment to further investigate her, she looks at a tenant list located in the building to figure out which suite is hers. Now, if you look closely, there's 2 names in particular that have a connection to the Marvel Universe, or rather, 2 names of actors who play significant characters in the Marvel Universe: S. Jackson and F. Jones, which stands for Samuel L. Jackson, aka Nick Fury, and Finn Jones, aka Iron Fist Danny Rand. And at number 5, Jessica Campbell Jones. Much of the season is an exploration of Jessica's past, especially with the resurfacing of her mother. One of the smaller facts that we learn about Jessica is that her middle name is Campbell.
Jessica Campbell Jones.
Seems a little odd, right? Except that Campbell is actually a shout out to Jessica in the comics. The name she was born with was Jessica Campbell prior to being adopted by the Joneses. And at number 4, here comes HELLCAT. This one feels more like a plot point and less of an Easter egg since it's been anticipated for quite some time. The transformation of Trish Walker into HELLCAT. So for context, Trish Walker was initially known as Patsy Walker in the comics, a character who started off as a teen romance genre character, and eventually became a superhero. When she first donned the HELLCAT mantle, she didn't have any powers aside from naturally enhanced agility and speed. Long story short, she's offered a membership on the Avengers, but then is persuaded by Moondragon to accompany her to Saturn's moon, Titan, in order to train and gain psychic abilities and advanced martial arts skills, which then gets taken away from her. And then things take a turn for the worst, but not entirely. She ends up committing suicide after her husband Hellstorm's demonic inheritance took possession of him and drove her insane. This ended up landing Patsy in Hell, where she gained a ton of powers. And then she returns from Hell, silver lining, and retains those powers. She has psychic senses and can generate force fields. This season begins Trish's transition in a much more efficient way. She undergoes a procedure to give her powers, overseen by Dr. Malice. Dr. Carl Malice, who we discussed in our last list, is a character known for experimenting and mutating others, so his involvement in Trish's transformation is no surprise. Up next, number 3, the RAFT. In our part 1 of this list, we mentioned a pretty large Easter egg pertaining to Infinity War and Captain America's shield. Lucky for us, that isn't the only reference to the patriotic superhero and the MCU films featuring the Avengers. During a conversation between Jessica and her mother, played by Janet McTeer, the subject of the high-security prison for superpowered individuals is brought up. The prison, known as the RAFT, appeared back in Captain America's Civil War. It's located in a remote area in the middle of the ocean, and after the airport battle in the film, a few notable superheroes find themselves doing time there, until Cap himself breaks them out. In the comics, the RAFT is a supervillain prison located close to Rikers Island, and in order to visit, civilians require a SHIELD superpowered escort. But back to the show. The conversation between Jessica and her mom pertains to how the only place the government would ever send her to would be the RAFT. Definitely a not so pleasant fate. In our number 2 spot, lizard people. In the first episode of the season, Jessica is interviewing new potential clients, including Robert Coleman, aka the Wizard, who we talked about in our last list. But there is another person in that lineup, who most of us wrote off as just being a silly joke, but is actually an Easter egg. There's a woman who says that a race of lizard people are walking amongst regular humans, and that one is actually Jay-Z.
There are lizards wearing human skins. You have to stop the dinosaur people. They already got Jay-Z.
While it made for a good laugh, turns out that that statement, minus the Jay-Z part, actually has roots in the Marvel Universe, specifically pertaining to Secret Invasion. Lizard people hiding in plain sight amongst humans is a reference to the Skrull Empire, green-skinned aliens who can shapeshift, and will be joining the MCU in the upcoming Captain Marvel film. Others have noted that she also mentions the Illuminati. While this could be a more commonplace reference to the Illuminati conspiracy theories of our world, it is worth noting that the Illuminati are a group of superheroes in the Marvel Universe, who operate in secret to keep the world safe, and were very present during the Infinity, Secret Invasion, and Secret Wars events. And finally, in at number 1, Stan Lee. Ah yes, the most iconic Marvel Easter egg himself. The man, the legend, Stan Lee. Stan notoriously makes an appearance in all of the Marvel film and television adaptations. And rightfully so. He is responsible for the majority of most notable Marvel characters that have been cinematically adapted, and acts as an executive producer on most of the Marvel properties. While he isn't in the flesh in Jessica Jones, we do get his cameo in print. He appears on a large advertisement on the back of a bus in an ad for 4Brush and Associates, with a quote that reads, "4Brush and Associates got me $5.2 million, which is pretty funny considering that in Iron Fist, Stan Lee's cameo was as Captain Irving Forbush of the NYPD. Talk about convenient marketing there. In addition to that, it's worth noting that the Forbush name itself is a reference to a parody superhero, Forbush Man, a character that Stan Lee and Jack Kirby created in 1967, who was an employee of the fictional company Marvel Comics. Wonder where they got that name from. Alright, there we have it, friends. Have you gone through the whole season of Jessica Jones yet? What are your thoughts on everything that went down? Let us know in those comments below. As always, if you dug this video, please show us some love by hitting that like button. And if you'd like to see more lists on Easter eggs or shows in the MCU, why not check out our channel and subscribe? We'd love it if you hung out with us some more. We've also got a ton of great videos that you should check out, including the top 10 superhero tech video that's currently flashing on your screen. In the meantime, thanks for watching everyone. I've been Kelly Pally and this has been Top 10 Nerd. Catch you all in the next one.